Welcome to another episode of Some Real Shit Podcasts, or SRS Podcasts. I am your host, Stacy R. In this episode, I invited Susan Carabello, life coach and author of Beauty Behind the Veil. We'll be talking about how she teaches people the importance of self-concept. It's how you see yourself and how to balance your life from within, with embodiment and manifestation therapy. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Susan.
How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a blessing to have someone from Pennsylvania on my show.
Thank you. I saw your email. So you have family out this way.
Yes, they live in Lake Ariel. I always say it wrong.
Yeah, it's probably I think it's the Poconos area. Yeah, and
Like going up towards like the hideaway or hideout. I believe that's it.
I believe so. Yeah, like Lake Ariel, Lake Harmony, Lake Wallenpaupack, are in the Poconos. So, and I'm in the Philadelphia region, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of that.
Oh, okay, like towards, well, no, opposite Scranton, right?
Yeah, I'm south of Scranton. So Lake Ariel is closer to the Scranton area. I'm closer to Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're closer to like West Milford.
Yes, I know exactly where that is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Put out there. So, welcome.
Thank you.
So, can you tell our listeners about yourself?
Sure. My name is Susan Carabello. I am a life coach. Specifically, I teach people about embodiment and mindset as well as empowerment. Originally, my title was manifestation coach, but when I really thought about it, I really teach more people more about embodiment, which is the practice to get the manifestation. We manifest everything into our lives on a daily basis, regardless. But now I teach people embodiment, which is the feeling state, and how to get to that feeling state so that you can actually experience what you want to experience in your life, whether it's money, the perfect job, a relationship, more friendships, you name it.
Well, that's interesting. I'm gonna circle back with you on those because I need
Sure.
to. So you went to school for marketing?
I was a marketing major in college, and it's funny how life works. So I majored in marketing. I worked in the financial services industry for 20 some years and just was having this calling to do something else, I had a different calling. So I decided it actually worked out. I was laid off from my job. They moved out of state, and I had just moved to Pennsylvania with my family. So I decided to become a part-time worker, stay-at-home mom. My boys were little at the time. They're now 20 and 19, but decided to take a part-time job locally and just, focus on being a mom. And it worked out, but I still had this nudge to do something. So my sister ended up being a makeup artist. And I actually, before I became a coach, was a makeup artist. And I loved it. I just loved being very creative and artistic. And it was easy for me to align with it because I've always loved art, right? So it was easy for me to do and whatnot. But during that time, I was still getting this calling that there was something else. There was something else I needed to be doing. And I didn't listen to it and kept going and doing what I was doing. And then the calling got greater and greater. And then COVID hit. And my makeup business came to a complete halt. And the funny part was I had kept this part-time job for all those years and ended up that I quit the part-time job to do makeup full time, and it bottomed out. Like I was in business uh, from 2014, but full time in at the beginning of 2020.
Mhm.
And by March, like the makeup industry just stopped, because of COVID. Like, and most of my work was weddings, and a lot of weddings were postponed. So it really, that nudge and that calling got louder. And it's like, you need to be coaching people. You need to be doing this. And then I started really, listening to what my soul was telling me and what I needed to be doing.
Mhm.
And I just followed it, and it led me exactly to where I need to be. And the reason why I say this is a funny story was before I became a marketing major, I wanted to major in journalism. I wanted to be a writer. And I was told at the time that I wouldn't make any money as a writer
Mhm.
to major in business. So I was like, okay. And, being an impressionable 18-year-old that didn't trust myself entirely, I was like, okay, I'm going to make more money. I'll just do that. And now here we are, 30 some years later. I wrote my first book and have a book deal with a traditional publisher called the Empowered Press. And my second book will be out in June 2023. So,
Wow, that's
yeah.
awesome. I feel like this is my story. This is what I actually was trying to do back in high school. I was trying to write stories and plays and stuff like that. And of course, like you said, it doesn't pay the bills yet, so you got to go
Right.
and I fell into the healthcare field. So I was like a
Okay.
nursing assistant, then I went
Yeah.
into assistant, and then I kind of land with the phlebotomy, and that's where I kind of stuck, so to speak. No pun
Right.
intended, but I just felt like that's where I needed to be. But then I always felt like I need to continue on with what I always wanted to do, which was to write. And so when I decided to do this season, I was like telling Tamika, which is like my co-host, I said we need to do something else. And we were just on this thing, like we've been in healthcare for most of our lives,
Hmm.
and we never started businesses. The most we did was probably like a Mary Kay or Avon or something like
Right.
that. And um, like you said, when COVID hit, it was always like everybody was doing what they wanted to do, doing what they always longed to do. And
Right.
I wanted to do the journalism. And I was like thinking, how am I going to get started? How am I going to do this? And then me and my friends started on the podcast. And then I was like, maybe the podcast can catapult me into writing. So I decided, hey, this season, I'm going to start interviewing a few entrepreneurs and people that have been there and they've done certain things in their life and they've managed to succeed and see where that can take me. So that's why this season I decided I was going to do some interviews. And of course, you have like ups and downs. And, the first season, the
Hmm.
people we started off with four, and then now we're down to two. And of course, since we started our businesses, Tamika is actually, she decided that she's going to do once a month because her business takes a lot of her time.
Hmm.
She's dropped down to part time at her job. Thank God we have the opportunity to do that. I dropped down to part time.
Right.
But then I was like, when I saw people with like life coach experiences and all this other stuff, I was like, this is a way to also help me because I need to balance things in my life. Like I went on a date with a guy. I don't even know if it was a date, let me tell you. I didn't even know what to do. I was just like, we need a quiet place so we can actually talk. And it
Hmm.
wasn't really that quiet. And he was like a quiet talker. And I was just like, I don't even know if this is a date. I'm sitting here sweating. I'm nervous. I'm like looking at him. I was like, he's handsome. I'm like, I don't even know how to like manage everything that's going on. So I'm like, I need to find somebody that can actually like guide me in this situation because I've been all about my kids and work, my kids and work.
Hmm.
Now it's like when outside of that lifestyle, I just know how to hang out with my friends. So,
Right. Well, it's all about balance, right? We have to find the balance is not really something outside of us. Everything's always within. And that's, a lot of my coaching practice is what I teach people is that we have to balance, right? We control everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to define the story that we tell ourselves. So in any given moment, we can write the script however we choose to. But going back to your point, it's all about balance, but it's balancing within, right? So you can be the mom and you can be the podcast host and you can be the journalist, but you can also, be in a relationship with somebody. It's all about, balancing your time, managing your time, but it all begins within. And if there's any part of us that feels out of balance, it's just going to feel reflective in our 3D reality, which is reality that we can actually physically, use with our five senses that we can touch and feel and whatnot. So it's learning, within, like, how can I balance it within so that it's reflected out, right? So what do I need to do within? I need to fill up my cup in that manner by, going on dates, right? And cultivating a relationship with another person and still being the mom. You can still be the mom, you can still do those other things, but allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to, go there and go on the date and realize that, you can have it all, you can do it all, and allow yourself to enjoy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, Allow yourself to just enjoy, going on a date, and not putting so much pressure on it being a date, but just going out with a friend, right? That's the way we look at it. Yes, it could go to that next level, but it's just spending time with somebody, right? It's no different than going out with your friends. That's the way I look at it, right? We don't want to put any other person on a pedestal, right? We're all on a level playing field and we all have something to offer, but it all begins and ends with us.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is we get to create the story of how we want things to be, right? We can design that story however we want, but we have to actually feel it and believe it before we do anything. So for example, I have been working a lot on my self concept, and it's, how I was seeing myself in a lot of ways were just misaligned with who I really was. Case in point, I loved doing makeup. That was just a part of me,
Mm-hmm.
but I was misaligned with what I was meant to be truly doing. So it was nice and all, and it was fun, and I love it. It just gives me a creative outlet. But I I wanted to be a coach, but number one, I didn't know how to do it. I, you know, was my story enough to carry my coaching practice and being vulnerable in that way to be seen by other people? That was a block for me, because I was this quiet, shy person. And now here I am coaching people on a very public scale. The same thing with my book. I had to put my story in my book, and I had to be vulnerable and be comfortable being seen. And I was like, I don't know about this. But the more I stepped back and be like, you know, everything, we're all equal, right? These are just friends, colleagues. Nobody's better than me. I'm not better than anybody else. We're all on the same level playing field. And when I look at it from that perspective through the lens of love,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, I I never allow myself to go into that state of worry or fear or doubt or insecurity. It's more a level playing field, right?
Yeah.
There's no competition. It's just community. No one's better than me. I'm not better than anyone else. We're all on the same level playing field. And that's really how I look at everything now. So it's, you know, when we say balance, that's what it is. It's recognizing that I'm not better than anyone. No one's better than me. That I create my relationships and call in the people that I want in my life and just build the relationships from there. And, the same way you build the relationships with your kids or with your friends, you would build with your partner. Obviously, with a partner, it would go to a different extent, um, but calling it in is in the same way, right? You develop and cultivate relationships with your friends. Calling in a relationship with a partner is the same way as calling it in with a friend, but it would be different, right? Like, you have a relationship with a partner, you go on dates and things like that. But yeah, it's all a balance. It's all balancing within
Mm-hmm.
and really looking at yourself and what you want to call into your life, and feeling it before it actually arrives, creating it within, creating the story within of what you want. So, for example, you want to call in a partner, you
Mm-hmm.
would want to feel that partner, in your heart, right? Because that's where you're creating it. So how would you want it to feel? How would they treat you? But before you can call on a partner, you need to be doing all those things for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So if you want a partner who's loving and trusting and vulnerable and open and adventurous and exciting and funny and all the things that you desire,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be those for yourself right now before you can call that partner in, because you attract what you are. So you have to be all those things before you can attract a partner of that capacity into your life. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I just remember talking to someone else and I was like, I'm not ready to date. So when I got the message to go hang out, I probably should have clarified what it was. Hey, are we just hanging out as friends or is this a date? Because
Right.
I haven't been on a date in so long and I'm not trying to because I'm not really ready for one. I'm
Right.
not feeling myself. And when I said that to one of my guests that was on the show, she's like, "Well, no, you can't just keep yourself, kind of hidden." This is my way of saying it, but she worded it differently. But she's like, "You can't keep yourself like hidden just because you're not ready." And I'm like, if I'm not like I'm thinking to myself, like if I'm not ready, I'm not going to be 100% for this person, and I want to be 100% um for whoever I'm dating because
Right.
what would be the point? And me, like, I still need to work on myself. I still need to feel like I am who I was, the person that goes hiking, the person that was like doing so much and accomplishing so much. I need to feel content before I go throwing all of my what do you call it? Not low self-esteem, but just a little bit of my insecurities into a relationship that maybe like that person have already conquered theirs. So why
Right.
would I do that to someone else?
Well, and you hit on a good point that you you never manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. So if you're feeling insecure in yourself and you're trying to attract a partner, just recognize that that partner that you're attracting is going to have those same types of insecurities, right? So because that's what you're attracting. So you hit a nail on the head that you're not ready because you need to work on yourself. And that's totally fine. You'll know when you're ready. And then
Mhm.
you set that intention with the universe that I feel really good about myself. I feel whole and complete because you already are.
Yes.
And when you know that, you just set the intention, I'm ready to call in my partner, my one true love, my soulmate, my twin flame, my specific person, whatever the term is that you are looking for. And you just, you become that. You become that and then you attract it in. And that's how it works. That's how it works with everything. Like you the job that you want, the career that you want, the finances you want, you become that before it actually happens in your 3D reality. You call it in by becoming it within. Like so you become that person within by getting your self concept in in alignment with whatever your dream goal is. So you have to, work on your self-esteem, work on the beliefs that you're telling yourself, work on your self-talk. And, look at the things that may have happened, in past relationships that you didn't like. And, you know, look at the lessons, right? Because I'm a big believer that everything is a gift. And even though at the time it may feel like garbage, and I hate to use the word garbage, it may feel yucky, and yucky is the best way. It may feel yucky and may feel down. We need to look at it from, what's the lesson this is teaching me? What's the lesson this is teaching me that I can take going forward? Maybe this person made me feel insecure, but it wasn't really them. What in myself was making me feel insecure? Because the people that we have in our life, again, family, friendships, relationships, are just a mirror reflection of who we are, right? Because that's all it is. It's a mirror reflection of our inner state of being. So, we have to look at the lessons that these people are teaching us about ourselves so that we can become our highest self. And then when you're ready, that's when you call in that partner. And you'll know when you're ready to be like, hey, I'm ready to have this conscious partner in my life. And it's this and it's that, and it's all these objectives. And when you get to that state of being and you're ready to call it in, it's not just saying it, you'll actually feel it. You'll feel it in your being. Like, your body will feel activated in a way that's indescribable. Like, you'll know that you're ready because you will feel good. Your body will feel good. Your soul will feel good. You'll just be walking around feeling good because you're like, yeah, I love this person. I feel good being around them. I'm, and you'll know and be like, yeah, this is where I would like this to go. But you'll feel it in your heart, right? But you'll do that before that person actually comes into your life. You need to feel it and imagine it, visualize it, and then surrender it to the universe and to God, and just let them take care of it, and trust that they heard you and that they're going to bring in exactly what you need based on what you have asked for, based on how you are showing up for yourself.
That's so true. That is definitely so true. I've been trying to say that, and it's like sometimes the universe throws me like a little curve ball, and I'm just like, I'm not ready for it. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm not ready to, you know, because my first interview with someone that wrote a book was about dating on Tinder, and I
Mm-hmm.
was, well, I'll just interview, but then I was just like, I'm not ready for Tinder. I'm not ready for um any of that situation right now. But when
Right.
I do, and then all of a sudden I just got back on Facebook because I took like a little hiatus from it
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes Facebook can just be overwhelming. And then I was like, I saw someone and I was like, oh, he's cute, let me just say hi or friend him, he looks like
Yeah.
somebody you know. Then come to find out, like, we hung out together, we were friends in high, we went to the same high school, everything. And then it's like, hey, let's just hang out. And I was just like, oh, I didn't expect that. I
Yeah.
just want to say hi. I'm not ready. And when I sat down and I talked to him and I'm listening to his stories, and I'm like, uh, God, like, I do want to jump out of an airplane. That was my goal, to jump out of an airplane. And you already jumped out of an airplane. And I'm just sitting here like this, like I know what my ideal partner is supposed to be like. It's supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be someone who's gonna uplift me, someone who's gonna want to do the same things that I do, who likes hiking, who likes all the little crazy little things that I want to do. And every once in a while, I'm gonna want to change up and decide that I'm gonna do this. So when you kind of get like a glimpse of what you could possibly have, especially when I had an ex that wasn't on the same page as me, and I had to like snip that after 6 months. And even though we were friends for like years, but you just don't want to ruin the friendship. But you know, And then so moving forward, you meet somebody that's similar to your likes and everything, and you're just like, oh God, universe, I'm not ready, not ready.
Well,
So
that's just, it's a part of you that is just trying to tell you that there's something that you need to look within and heal, right? Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be anything major. It could just be, our self-talk, for example. But you'll know when you're ready. And when you're ready, there's nothing stopping you from getting exactly what you want, you know, but think of it as a preview, right? So you went on this date and he likes hiking and skydiving and all that other stuff. Think of it as a preview, like, okay, I like this. I like doing these things,
mhm.
and it's a preview for what you can have for yourself, right? That's part of the lesson. You can have this exact experience for yourself. So don't, you say that you're not ready, but you'll know when you are. But you have to trust yourself. And that's the key. You have to believe that you have to believe in yourself and believe in the stories that you're telling yourself. And it's okay not to be ready, but remember that we're never always going to be ready. There's a time to take action too. Because if you keep telling yourself that story that you're not going to be ready, you're never going to be ready, right? So that's, again, it's a self-talk thing.
Yeah.
But you want to just be mindful that that's the self-talk, and remember that we're never always going to be ready, but it's always okay to try, right? That's the inspired action that we want to take to get to our best self. um, but that comes with an inner knowing. It's an inner trusting that I may not be ready, but I'm willing to take the risk and see where it goes, right? Because we're going to grow and change. We're not the same people we were 5 minutes ago,
Mm-mm.
right? So we're always going to grow and to change into who we need to be. So we're never going to be ready for that next step. But if we don't take that inspired action to get to the next step, we're just going to be stuck in that spot where we're saying we're not ready. So, but it's okay to feel that. And it's okay to look at ourselves and look within to see what's the story that's telling me that I'm not ready. And look at it as an observer. We don't judge ourselves. That's the one thing that I tell my clients is when they have something that comes up, a limiting belief about themselves or how they see themselves, whether, you know, I'm feeling unattractive or overweight or insecure. Like I've been there. So what I always say is, like, when something like that comes up, do not judge ourselves. We never judge our emotions. We're human, right?
Mhm.
We're spiritual beings having a human experience, but we never judge ourselves, right? Because the more we judge ourselves, it's we're not serving ourselves, right? We're not here to judge others. So if we're not here to judge others, then why would we do that to ourselves?
Yeah.
So, we have to offer compassion to that piece of us that is looking for an answer, right? And when the answer comes up, just be like, okay, how can I fix it? And again, it's not looking for an answer outside of ourselves. We know where we can get the answers from, but it's trusting that the answer will come at the right time. Like, we just set the intention. And I read a great book by Gabby Bernstein recently, so I'm going to quote it. And she says in her book, You Are the Guru, her chapter 3 was, I surrender to creative solutions. And by
Mm.
that, you just basically say, God, universe, I'm ready. I'm ready to whatever you have for me. This is what I want. I surrender to creative solutions, and I trust that you'll guide me to where I need to be. And that's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
that's a powerful statement in itself, that I surrender to creative solutions, because then that is just full trust that the universe is divinely guiding you and that you need to do nothing other than just be your badass self.
Mhm.
Like you don't have to try and change um, anything that you are, but it's accepting who you are. It's changing your self-concept to be in alignment with what you desire to be. So that's the change. And that's where we grow. And that's where we really become the people that we're meant to be. And on my own journey through life, I've, even like today, I woke up, I was feeling great, and then had this thought. It was just it was a random thought, but I was in tears over it. And I'm like, all right, Susan, stop, time out. What story are you telling yourself? And I recognized in that moment that I had fallen out of the state of being of who I desired to be, and went back to the old state of feeling sorry for myself, um, telling myself that old story. But I had enough awareness now to look at it observatorily. Is
Mhm.
that a word? As an
Mhm.
observer,
Mhm.
and recognize it for what it was, which was just the old story that just needed reassurance that it was safe. I'm like, you're safe. We're good. Everything's going to be fine. It's okay to be scared. We're still going to forge ahead. We're still great. We're still wonderful. I love you. And then the rest of the day was fine. But that like hour or so this morning, I was like, whoa, 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 you know? And yeah, I was full on tears out of nowhere. I woke up, I was like, today's going to be a great day. And then an hour later, it was like, ah. Um, but it's okay. It's okay to have those moments, right? Though, because those moments are the moments where we grow. It's the
Yeah.
moments that where we change into something that we want to be in, or somebody that we want to be. So, um, but yeah, it all starts with our self-concept and how we see ourselves, and the talk that we um it's our self-talk, but when I recognize that there were moments in my life where I was just angry. But now I look back at it and I'm like, I'm not really angry. I forgive myself for feeling that way. And I have a lot of compassion for that person you know, who was angry. They just wanted to be heard or seen. And, it's our job to provide that for ourselves before we can provide it for other people. It's kind of like the mask on an airplane analogy, right? We you know, you put your oxygen mask on yourself before you give it to other people.
Oh. That's a very, I never, yeah, I mean, I never think of it like that, but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's if you think of it that way, right? We put the oxygen masks on ourselves so that we can get the oxygen, and then we help other people. It's the same thing when you want to create your life. You need to feel all the feelings of the things that you want internally before you can see it in your 3D reality. And it's filling up your cup. It's giving yourself that same self-love that you give to another person, you give to yourself first. And when you feel so whole and good and complete as yourself, then boom, that's the attraction point right there. That's the attraction point. You feel whole and complete, and you're ready for everything that life has to offer. And now you're not looking for love outside of yourself because you filled up your cup, and then boom, there comes everything you've asked for. The person who's skydives, or is adventurous, or goes hiking, or the whatever it is that you want to call in, because you've already filled up your cup. That's the attraction point. You're already there. And so you're not looking for that person because you're like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I got everything going for me. I'm adventurous. I go hiking. I do this, and I got blah blah blah. You got to have a whole list, right? And then all
Yeah.
of a sudden, it's like, and they say, right? There's the old saying. It's like, love comes in when you're not looking, right? All of a sudden,
Yeah.
it's like it just shows up. But that's what it is, because you're good, whole, and complete on your own. Then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, hey, what's going on? It's like, oh, hey, what's up? Like,
Yeah.
And that's literally how it starts, right? But it's the same thing with the job, right? You're like whole and complete in your work, and you're so passionate about it, and you're so in love with the process of your job that
Mhm.
it's like, oh, okay, you know, she's a great, you know, speaker. Then, let's get her more speaking engagements. And then all of a sudden you're getting more speaking engagements and more people to your podcast and whatnot. It's the same, it's literally the same energy that is used to attract a partner, that is used to attract a job, that is used to attract friendships or relationships with our family, relationships with our kids. It's the same energy. And I'm going to go back to my journal because this came to me during the day today.
Mhm.
Love is the energy of everything. And I wrote it down in my journal because it just felt like it was a powerful statement that I needed to share. Love is the energy of everything. Love is the attraction point of everything in our life, whether it's love of another person, love of a job, love of, the career of your dreams, the love of money, right? It's all energy, but the underlying energy of it all is love. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, I got to write this down. And it was just, it was almost like the universe was telling me that this is really what, we need to be focusing on. And, it's, I think back to, I'm going to age myself here, but, back in the 70s, everything was like peace, love, and happiness, right? That was like, um, that was the generation, right? There was, everybody was love, everything was about love. But I think what the underlying statement was, it wasn't about, I think the saying really is love is energy, and love is the energy of everything, whether it's music or art or creating or being. It's what attracts everything into our life, is that being of love, and um or being love. It's it's just it's so simple yet so profound when you think
Yeah,
about it.
that's true. Like the love you have for your children, the love you have for your family, your friends, your coworkers, your husband, that sort of love is such a magnificent energy. That,
Exactly.
yeah. Um, so when you say manifestation coach, you kind of touched on it a little bit on what I was recently experiencing, but can you explain what a manifestation coach would do or is
Sure.
kind of?
So we met, and I'm going to just um, use the caveat that we manifest everything we think of, not everything we think about. We have like 70,000 thoughts a day, but whatever
Mm-hmm.
we focus on is what we create.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever we create, we manifest, right? That's the process. But so that's where the energy comes in. So as a manifestation coach, and I now use the term embodiment coach because it's really what I teach people.
Mm-hmm.
Manifestation is the result of the embodiment practice. So,
Okay.
manifestation is the end result of what you desire in life. So, when I started coaching, I was teaching people about vision boards and how to visualize and feel what you want. You always attach a feeling to a picture, right? Because then the more you focus on that picture, you feel it, right? And you feel it as real. And the feeling is the state of being, the embodiment that creates the manifestation. So manifestation coach is really an umbrella term, I guess, but it's more the
Yeah.
embodiment practice that I teach people. But manifesting is really what we do on a daily basis. Whatever we give our energy to is what we're creating in a reality, good or bad. So if you want to create something good and create something conscious, that's where the practice that I teach comes in. I teach people how to feel it. I teach people to like look at their limiting beliefs without judgment, so that they can feel into the state of being and create the life that they want. So, for example, my book, um, I had put that on my vision board in August of 2021 with the exact picture that is on the cover of the book. And all I put was best-selling author. And I just felt it. I saw it. And then all of a sudden I started, I again just surrendered to creative solutions and waited for inspired action and just went with it. So I started putting the pieces together on my vision board in August of 2021. By November, I had a writer that I was working with, and by my book came out in September of 2022, just recently, last month. So it took a full year to come to fruition, but it took that long to put all the pieces together, the marketing, the storytelling, the editing, the proofreading, you name it. But the best part about that was that I got a traditional book deal, which was what I wanted, and anything was to be able to continue writing books. That was my underlying goal. And that's what I felt when I looked at that picture on the vision board, right? I attached a feeling to it. I think the exact term that I used that got me excited, right? Because we manifest whatever our energy is, right? So if you want to manifest, that's what I felt when I looked at the book. I felt excited. I was excited to tell my story. I was excited to put that out there and to open up and be vulnerable about it. And I, attached a feeling of what would it feel like to be a best-selling author? And, that's what it was. I literally attached this amazing feeling, like I would just feel freedom. I would feel successful. I would just feel joyous, whatever it is. And that's the feeling you attach to it. And so manifestation is really just the end goal of what your embodiment practice is. And there's a lot of ways to get to the embodiment state or the embodied state of what you desire. You can use affirmations, you can use visualizations like a vision board. There's so many different ways, like, journaling, but or scripting, like writing the story out. But whatever works for you. The whole idea is just to get you into that embodied state to allow your manifestation to come in easily and effortlessly. And you can manifest whatever you desire, money, success, love, homes, cars, trips, vacations around the world. I look back at my vision board and the things that I've created on there, and I'm like, gosh, I think about it. I'm like, it wasn't that hard to do. I just was like, okay. I think when I first started consciously manifesting, I created a vision board back in 2020. I think it was April 2020. I created a vision board and I was, put a few things on there that I wanted. And one of the things I wanted was to take my life coaching course, but I didn't have the money for it. So I found an image on Google Images, and I was like, that's the image right there. And it said $3,000 in 18 days. I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I desire. I need $3,000 to take this course in 18 days. I'm putting that on my vision board. And I just let it go. I didn't even think twice about it. But it was so specific that I literally did. I came into $3,000 3 weeks after I'd set that intention and was able to pay for the course, because that was the exact amount that I needed to pay for the course. But that was what had happened, was I had created this great feeling about it and set the intention, and then I wasn't looking for it, right? I believed it was going to come. I just let it go. I didn't doubt myself. I didn't doubt how it was going to show up. I was just like, okay, whatever. I don't have to force it, right? Because if you're forcing it, you're resisting it. And if you're looking for it, you're resisting it. If you're reaffirming it, you're resisting it. If you keep looking at the vision board and keep changing the pictures on it, whatever you're trying to create, you're resisting, right? Manifesting is easy. It's something we do naturally, but now we can do it consciously. And that's what I teach people.
Wow. I'm just sitting here looking at my vision boards while you're talking. And I'm like, thank God I didn't change anything. I just left the way I just needed to paint over because I did it more like as a collage around the
Mm-hmm.
pictures and
Yeah.
stuff. I do art. Like I like to paint and stuff.
And
Um,
that's one of the best things to do because it allows us to get into that creative state, which allows us to feel freedom and embody that state of feeling state that we need to attract in our desires.
so the vision board, you say don't resist it. So don't change it. Don't add like, you know, I don't know, don't add a guy onto it just because you want a guy. Just throw it out there in the universe.
Well, if there's something to be said about being specific. If it doesn't feel aligned, then yes, change it. But if it feels aligned to you and that
Mhm.
you know that that's what you want,
Mhm.
then don't keep going back and trying to control it. Do you know, like if you've set the intention already that like this is what I desire,
Mhm.
this is, you know, my soulmate, like this is what he looks like, and you know he has all these qualities and whatnot, et cetera, et cetera. And you put that up on the vision board. But and you put that up on the vision board, and you know you don't go back a month later and be like, well, it's not happening, so I'm going to put a different picture up, you know,
Yeah.
and put up extra qualities about this person, right? Because right there
Yeah.
you don't believe that you didn't believe enough in the first visualization, right? So now you're trying to control it, you know, like where is it,
Um,
type of
yeah.
thing. Like
Yeah.
you're not trusting or believing that that's going to happen for you. So now you're like, oh, I'm going to put a different picture up there. um you know, but the whole thing is you want to create that feeling. And it's the one thing I remember when I first started working with coach about 4 years ago. She said it's as easy to manifest a relationship with a person as it is to manifest a free cup of coffee. It doesn't take any time. Like if I was to tell you your vision board a free cup of coffee and let it go,
Mhm.
most people can manifest that pretty easily, right? Because they're coffee drinkers. They go to Dunkin' Donuts, they go to Starbucks, they go to Java Joe's or whatever.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden in their email the next day, oh, you know, I got a coupon from Dunkin' Donuts, free
Mhm.
coffee, you know, thank you, universe, right? Because
Right.
you manifested that, right? You believe that because there was no resistance around the free cup of coffee, right? There was no resistance around the free cup of coffee, right? But we create resistance around things that we feel we don't have within ourselves. So when I say don't change anything on the vision board, if you believe that you are worthy and deserving of that relationship that you put on that vision board, then do not touch it. But if at some point you feel like that is not aligned with what you really desire, then absolutely go and change it. But if you feel comfortable enough and be like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Everything on there is exactly what I desire. The adventure, the hiking. But hiking is a thing you do, but it's the
Yeah.
joy that it brings you.
Exactly.
Right? So that's the feeling state that you would put up there, the adventure, the joy, the freedom, the love. And then you could put the pictures of the hiking and, you know, other pictures up there, but it's all
Yeah.
bringing you back to that state of feeling and being to call it in. Right? So that's what I mean. Like if you don't want to resist it, Like you have to trust yourself that what you're putting up there is exactly what you want. I mean, I remember before I became a coach, on my vision board, I was trying to manifest makeup work. But I
Hmm.
was like, at that point, and I still love doing makeup, but I think was in it was during COVID and my makeup work had stopped. I had such a negative feeling towards it. So I was putting it up there. It was literally like makeup, like
Yeah.
it was misaligned. Like the energy behind it, like, really, is that what I'm calling in? Is that really what I was calling for myself? And honestly, yeah, at the time I was like, that was my energy behind it. Right. So did I take that off my vision board? Yes, because I was like, you know what? I realized now that was complete misalignment with what I really wanted. I was in such a resentful state,
Hmm.
so it was like, not that I needed to be resentful, but I was like, I was mad and angry. I'm like, oh, God, I quit my job. Like now, and now I don't have a job. And now it was all these different feelings. Right. Um, So I took it off, but then I realized that I was misaligned with it. Like it served its purpose and served its time, but it was the greatest gift to me that it led me to what I really truly needed to be doing, which was coaching. So I can't be mad at the fact that makeup didn't work out for me. It was a blessing. It was a blessing. It led me to exactly where I needed to be. Like I didn't need to fight it. So I did. I took it off my vision board and instead I put on things that were more aligned with what I wanted, which was writing books, which was traveling, um, which was coaching, which was buying a home, and other things, like just it was more my vision board after that first one was much more aligned with what I truly desired. So
Yeah.
it's okay to go back and change it, but if it's aligned with what you really want, then I say don't touch it. Nurture it, right? You're planting the seed of intention. So what do you do if you plant a seed in the ground? You water it. You love on it. You get excited to see exactly what kind of fruit it's going to bear when it actually grows, right? That's the manifestation. That's the planting of the seeds. You nurture it, you water it. Um, but when you're aligned with what you have on your vision board, it's very easy for it to come to your life because there's no resistance around it.
Yeah, that's true. I was just looking at it, and I have three. I know, I'm a weirdo.
No, you're not. That's great.
I have one small one that I keep in my bathroom, and then I have this fitness one, which is like half my wall. I don't know. I went to Walmart and I got those little like science project,
Hmm.
I forgot what they call them, but the real big ones that you do science projects on.
Yes.
Yeah, I have that one, and I dedicated that to being at peace. So basically, you know how the saying is like, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food.
Hmm.
Um, I like highly believe that food is medicine, and so I try to keep on this like healthy kick where, I do a lot of vegetables and I try to incorporate fruits and stuff. Occasionally
Hmm.
I'll fall off the, of course, I have kids, so chicken fingers and fries will eventually come up um
And
at
that's
some point
okay
in time.
because food is
Yeah.
fuel, right? Like there's no such thing as good food or bad food. It's all just food and it just, serves to fuel our bodies.
Yeah. And then like my third one, it's basically just like you said, it's me, myself, like what I want to do. And there is a section on there that I have where I put my books on there, but it's mostly about me morphing into the person that I want to be. But
Hmm.
then I started looking and I was like, on all three vision boards, I do not have a single, like I don't have anybody, like no, there's no guy on there that I want to like. I have a couple on there, but basically the couple is not really me. Like that's not what my goal was. They
So
were
it,
watching TV and I was on the TV. So
so my question is on your vision board, the people that you have up there, is it representative of you? Does
Yeah.
it, okay, does the person look like you?
There's pictures of me from when I was in like high school and maybe like 10 years ago.
Okay,
So like my skinny picture, my skinny me picture. Um, so those are all on there. But then I was like thinking, I don't have, I guess what I needed to have on there was a picture of the type of person that I wanted to manifest in my life, the type of credentials, so not credentials, that's a bad way to say it, but the values that a guy
right,
would have. Because for a long time I was like, I'm abstinent, I'm celibate, I don't want to be in a relationship. It's too much work, and I'm okay with like being a spinster for the rest of my life. And then when like you meet somebody and you're like, oh, there's people like that out there. Okay, well, yeah, maybe I'll just stop this whole spinster idea and try to like maybe put that out, like you said, and just kind of pray that God will send me somebody. So, and I mean, the only people that I really have on there, honestly, like that's a male are probably a writer, and that's only because I'm trying to manifest the writing issue that I have right now.
got it. Well, I can give you some information on that when we're done. But yeah, if you want to call in a partner, you need to really sit down. And I encourage people when they do a vision board to sit down and close their eyes and really feel what that person would feel like to them. And then, ask your intuitive guidance, like, what would this person look like? And then when you go to do your vision board, you can kind of get a picture of somebody who looks similar to that
Hmm.
and then just really feel it. But like when you put the picture of that person up there with you, right? You put that picture up, but then you put the words or the feelings that would embody that state for you when you look at this person. What would you feel? You would feel love. You would feel compassion. You would feel excitement and joy and abundance, or whatever the words are that you want to describe this person. That's what you would feel when you look at them. And they would be your equal partner, right? Because you would be in that same state of being for yourself, and you would be an energetic match right back for them. And that's where the magic happens.
Well, I've got some work to do. I'll tell you that much, Susan.
We're all a work in progress, right? That's, I told a friend, like, the one thing that we're learning in life is, we're walking each other home, right? We're teaching each other lessons. And
Yeah.
like our peers and our friends, our family, our relationships are our greatest teachers, right? It helps us grow into the people that we need to be so that we can be better for ourselves and then in turn be better for other people.
I always say it's good to learn from people. That you're never too old to learn, but it's
No,
also learn from people. When some people are like, "Oh, I don't want to learn anything from somebody." It's you learn so much. Like I never stop learning, and I appreciate like you know, one gentleman was just like, "Hey, how's your podcast? Do you want me to like take it, critique it?" And I was like, And I started thinking, I was like, I didn't, it's not that I didn't want him to critique it. I just didn't want him to judge me. Like, I would be happy if he critiqued it. But then after
right.
a while, like, whatever, I'll just see and take somebody's opinion. Maybe that one idea can help me, get further.
Hmm.
Uh, because I really want to just open up the second podcast and gear that towards like plays and stuff. So that was my next idea. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll just let them like, take a look at it and see what their idea is. But allowing somebody to critique you regardless of whether or not you're not gonna like their answer, um, it still kind of resonates with you. You still kind of listen to them. You
Right.
you
You,
either
you listen to them, and but you don't need to take it on as your own. Look at it as
right.
a lesson, right? They're going to give you, they're not judging us, right? Because nobody can judge us unless we judge ourselves. So if they offer feedback, that's all it is. It's feedback. And we can look and be like, okay, well, I agree with this. I don't agree with this, right? Because we're now not being judgmental about it. We're looking at it as an observer. Um, so Yeah, it's okay to get feedback, but we get to decide, right? Because we get to choose if we're going to take that feedback or not. And we have to trust ourselves enough to know when the feedback is in our favor or if it's not.
Yeah, I do need to start trusting in what I want and just taking the little tips and tidbits away
Exactly.
from that. Yeah.
Yes, you can do
But
it.
yeah, I know I can. I know I had some setbacks this week, and um it's great to have positive people that are there to kind of guide you sometimes. I've had friends like that are not even anywhere around or have anything to do with the situation, but they've managed to find the words to kind of get me back up and back on the trail. And one person was like telling me, they're like, doesn't all the pressure of editing and doing all this and people calling you, doesn't that motivate you? And I was like, no. I mean, what motivates me is like when people reject something, and that goes back to me accepting their criticism and then saying, you know what, I'm gonna see if I can fix this and do what I need to do. So it's a slope that I'm on, not a slope, it's a, what do you call it? It's just that hike up the mountain.
Right. It's the mountain. We all have a mountain to climb.
Yeah.
But realizing that in order to get there, we need to feel the top of the mountain right now and not focus on the obstacles. Because the
Hmm.
more Simon Sinek does a great, I think it's a YouTube video, and
Hmm.
I'm more than happy to share it, where he actually says that, and I'm going to quote him, in the pilot community, they are taught to focus on the path because it's known in the pilot community that if you focus on the obstacles, you're going to just see obstacles. But if you focus on the path, all you see is the path. It's like life. So if
Yeah.
you focus on the top of the mountain, what your end goal is, the obstacles just, remove themselves because you're already there. You're already at the end of the path, the top of the mountain, right?
Yeah.
And I did ayahuasca uh, back in April of this year, and that was the same lesson that I learned there. You know, I have been, I've been so focused on the obstacles getting in the way of my goals that I wasn't focusing on the top of the mountain and what was at the top of the mountain. And it was like, you need to just focus on the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Um, and I wasn't. Certain aspects of my life, I was, still in a state of worry or how is this going to happen? How am I going to make this happen? Whatever. That I was right. Those states of worry and how it's going to happen. The how's not my job, right? The only
Yeah.
thing I need to do is trust that God and the universe are going to get me there, and I don't have to worry about the how. I just need to stay at the top of the mountain. But I recognize in my own, life, and because we're human, right? And we have to retrain ourselves to a different state where we just focus on the top of the mountain and we don't worry about the obstacles or about the how or about how the money's going to get there or, you know, how am I going to get this book written? How am I going to get to this? Like that's not our job. Our job is to focus on the end state and surrender to creative solutions, like Gabby Bernstein says, surrender
Hmm.
to creative solutions and just let the universe take you there. And when they do, be thankful for it, right? Because they heard your prayers. You, they heard your prayers, so they heard what you asked for, and they gave you exactly what you were thinking about. And it's magical. That's where the magic happens. And it's powerful. Like it's a powerful practice. And why I'm so passionate about it is that it's so simple and easy to do. You just have to believe in yourself. Hands down. That's it. You just need to believe in yourself.
Yeah, which I do. I do.
Yeah.
And I knew this was gonna, I knew like having a business was gonna have its ups and downs, and I need to prepare for it. And I know it wasn't gonna be a 9 to 5 job and everything. And I know like relationships, I knew there are obstacles there. I just need to usually reset my energy or
Mm-hmm.
reset myself and then start all over again. And so that's why I was so appreciative that you said you wanted to be on the show.
Oh, thank
Um,
you. But
Yeah, no,
realize that we never start over, right? If we're in the process of manifesting something,
mhm.
it's already done. Like we've already asked and set the intention of what we wanted. So we never have to start over. We just pick up from where we left off and keep going. It's already
Yeah,
on our way to us, right? Like whatever you desire is already yours. It's already done. You just need to live at the top of the mountain, knowing that it's here and it's not tomorrow, it's not yesterday, it's right now. Like this present moment is what's creating everything for tomorrow and the next day and whatnot, based on what you truly believe in this moment.
I tell you, I'm gonna be listening to this episode very often so I could go back and just be like, what was that name she said? It was let me see, I was looking for it too. It was Gabby Bernstein. But then you
Yeah.
said another gentleman, oh Simon.
Simon Sinek. Yeah,
Mm.
they're very inspirational. If I had to pick one person who inspires me, or who has inspired me on my journey, it's Gabby Bernstein. Her books and her story is just amazing. Um, and Simon Sinek is just a great speaker, very like so motivational, and he can be found on YouTube,
Oh, I will
Insta,
definitely put
yeah,
those.
Instagram too.
So, just to wrap stuff up, you got on Entrepreneur Mogul?
I believe it's Entrepreneur's Herald.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, no, I am one of the top 20 life coaches to watch for 2022. Yeah,
Oh,
which was a great honor to be included in that mix. Yeah, especially since I've only been doing this for a short period of time, to be included with, other like-minded people was, a true honor, because I know I'm exactly where I need to be. And this is exactly what I need to be doing. So,
yeah, it's good when you finally find your place. I'm telling you, I've gone through so many different changes and they're all in healthcare. And I thought like just the phlebotomy alone was just going to be satisfying for me and it is. I still love to help people and I still do it. Because of course I got to catapult my business, of course. And, when I decided I was going to take on this podcast thing, I was like, I'm going to use the podcast to help me to get to my goals and, talk to like-minded people and also people that have written books. And, um, I just wanted to, get some ideas. Now, do you think, because you said you were looking for traditional publishing, do you prefer that over self-publishing? Because I know a lot of people I talk to, they do self-publishing.
um, for me, I prefer traditional publishing. Beauty Behind the Veil was self-published. The reason why I like the idea of a traditional publisher is that there is it's more, I have not more control, but um, it's more of a team-based environment, and not that the other, everything else was on me, right? Like I have to do all my own marketing, my own
Mm-hmm.
press and whatnot. Traditional publisher takes care of all that stuff. They do the press releases and the book signings and the back end stuff. Whereas I get to do what I'm good at, which is writing. Whereas when you self publish, you have to do the writing, the proofreading, the editing, the, all of it, right? You have to do all the marketing. You have to do all the press and setting up speaking engagements. And that's fine. That's great. But I would like to focus more on the writing part of it and
Yeah.
have somebody else do the business end of it. And we can work cohesively as a team. That's just what I prefer.
No, I understand. When that was a deterrent for me when I was writing back in the days, um, traditional, because I was like, who's gonna pick up this book? And I was just like, this is gonna be hard for me. And then when everybody was talking about self-publishing, I was like, what is self-publishing? I live under
Yeah.
a rock. tell people I
No,
live under a rock. I don't
it's
know
all
what's going
good.
on in the world.
Yeah.
And
So like,
yeah.
and the difference between self-publishing versus a traditional publisher is that most people that are self-published will have their books in independent bookstores and on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with a traditional publisher, it's in, you can get your books into like larger bookstores.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to just Amazon, you can get it into like other booksellers that are not just independent booksellers, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. Um, yeah, that gives me like a lot to think about because like I said, I started it and I need to get started on the writing and stuff. When
Mhm.
you started writing, what what did you use to help you? Like, did you have to go back? I mean, did you take any English classes? Like, how did you get that far?
No, it was I just love writing. For
Yeah.
me, I just love it. It's just who I am. So even when I was doing makeup, I was writing for a magazine. I was doing various different articles. I was writing articles on makeup, on different products. I was doing reviews. Even when I was working in the financial services industry, I was a proofreader. That was what I, that's what I did. I proofread. Um, so I had the experience behind it. So when it came time to sit down and actually write,
Mm-hmm.
it was easier because I knew what to look for.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, you know, we can be our biggest cheerleaders, but we can also be our biggest critics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so as I was writing it with this service that I was working with, and I got the book back, and one chapter I destroyed. When I say destroyed, I rewrote the chapter. I was like, yeah, this doesn't work. Here's the new chapter. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Okay.
which it should never get to a point where, but it like in hindsight, it worked great the second time around. The first time it just didn't work.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel aligned with what the message was that I was trying to say. I was like, what? No, this doesn't
Mhm.
work for me. And in doing that, it was just, yeah, it just worked. It just worked the second time around, and it was great.
So your first book was self-published, but your second book is traditional.
It'll be, yes, my second book is a traditional published book.
Well, I didn't mean, did you take English class? Obviously, we took English classes.
No, you
I
mean
mean,
like, no, I haven't taken a journalism course since college.
oh, okay. Well, more like a creative writing course type of thing, like master class. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. And it's, yeah, no, I have taken no courses outside of college. Well, I
No,
mean,
that's
I have,
awesome.
but not a journalism course or a creative writing course.
Oh, okay. But that's
Yeah.
awesome though that you have
Thank you.
that talent to do that. I mean, originally I thought I had that talent, but because my friends kept telling me, "Hey, you're doing such a great job. We love to, because I would write like little plays and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and everybody would critique it. I would always have my friends read it and they loved it, but I got to that obstacle where I was like, I don't know if I'm good enough. And um, I've managed to get really far in creative writing and stuff, but then I still feel like, maybe it's not you like you said, I am my biggest critic right now with my work and stuff. So I was just wondering if there was anything that you used to kind of gotten rid of that writer's block.
It's it's the self-talk. It all goes back to our self-concept, right? When we finally start to tell ourselves a new story and start getting into that feeling state, like you just get creative. And when you get creative, you just flow, right? There's no resistance. And everything just kind of just everything just flows the way it needs to, and it just feels good. Like the feeling state is just easy and effortless, and it's it's just, like you'll be able to get past that writer's block when you get into that intuitive state within ourselves.
Yeah.
And when I was at ayahuasca, one of the things that I learned that for me, when I get into that intuitive state, I
Mm-hmm.
do 5 minutes of deep breathing, and then I use the word ready, and that's it. And then I'm there, and then I just pick up the pen and just, whatever comes out comes out. But I set the intention before I do that. Like I'm doing this because I need this, and boom, and just come right out and just start. Go where you need it. It takes you where it needs to take you.
Okay.
Takes you where it needs to take you. So
Yeah. Yeah. I probably just need to start.
yeah, that's all. We just have to start, right? We
Yeah,
just have
because
to just do it, right?
yeah,
Just take that inspired action.
no, I got you. I just always let something else get in the way of just doing it. I say I'm gonna do it. I started doing it, and I kid you not, like I got like 30 pages out one day because I used like that this speaking text, and I was like, this is perfect because I can go back, I'll write and then I can go
Hmm.
back and edit.
Yeah,
And then it was like I got involved in this interview thing with the podcast, and I was like, so now this is taking, it's moving into the place of where I should be writing. So I've got to
right,
go through it. But I figure, you know what? While I got to do the podcast, maybe I should just get some ideas and get to meet other writers who have actually published a book. And like I said, this is a good way for me to get back as soon as I finish up this season. Because this season for the authors and stuff, I have to pretty much put this on hold and go do the marketing for this season and then go and get started back on the writing.
right.
Yeah,
You can do it.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. I definitely will. And then, everything that we've talked about, I literally I jot it down. I am manifesting it or embodying it. I apologize. So that way it can be manifest. And I definitely would love to read your book, honest to God.
Oh, wonderful. I will send you a copy.
I just want to tell you I appreciate your time on here. Can you let the listeners know your books and where to find them?
Sure. It's a Beauty Behind the Veil. It's available on Amazon in paperback as well as on Kindle. And you can find me on Instagram at susan.carabello.
Okay, that's awesome, Susan. Thank you again for being on this show.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks to Susan Carabello for being on the show today and sharing with us everything that she had to offer. Please rate, review, and subscribe to or follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Stacy R. Thanks for listening.